From the brink of extinction to the path of survival. The Century Milk Vetch Recovery Project.
Within Grand Canyon National Park's 1.2 million acres, there are over 1,750 plant species, but only one tiny plant is federally listed as endangered. Hi, I'm Lori McCarrick, the park's Vegetation Program Manager, and I'm here to tell you the story about that plant, the Century Milk Vetch. Little's been known about Century Milk Vetch, even though the plant itself has been known for more than 100 years. Marcus C. Jones was an early scientist and explorer of the western U.S., and he's actually the person credited with discovering Century Milk Vetch. That was in 1903. He described the plant as common in Grand Canyon. But 40 years later, Rupert Barnaby, a very noted botanist and actually an expert in milk vetches, reported that the plant was of great rarity in the park. Century milk vetch is a tiny perennial herb that grows in a mat about an inch high and up to 8 inches across. It's endemic or only grows in Grand Canyon. It occurs within 25 feet of the rim, and it grows pretty much just on Kaibab limestone. It has a thick taproot that allows it to penetrate that solid surface to reach the moisture underneath. It has compound leaves, and in the spring, it bears tiny lavender flowers. Although the plant produces a lot of seeds, few germinate, and even fewer actually survive to maturity. Those that do are threatened by habitat loss, climate change, and drought. It's due to these factors that this plant is extremely vulnerable to extinction. Long-term monitoring revealed that the population of Century milk vetch was reduced to just a small area at Maricopa Point, which is on the south rim. The reduction of the species range and possibly the loss of populations were likely due to trampling by visitors. The visitors are focused on the view and the vast expanse of Grand Canyon, not at the tiny little plants that are right below their feet. Park management took proactive measures to protect the plant, and they actually fenced off the habitat at Maricopa Point to minimize impacts to the population. In 1990, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service listed the Century milk vetch as endangered under the Endangered Species Act. The Endangered Species Act mandates that the recovery plans must be completed and implemented for all species that are listed. The Century milk vetch recovery plan was completed in 2006. There are a lot of criteria in the recovery plan, and the most important ones are having 4 self-sustaining populations of at least 1,000 individuals. The ultimate goal is to completely delist the species so that it's no longer considered endangered. In order to do that, we need 8 populations of 1,000 individuals, and we need to know that they can survive into the future without our assistance.
Hello, I'm Martha Hahn. I'm the Chief of Science and Resource Management here at Grand Canyon National Park. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the importance of the Century milk vetch and the role it plays here at Grand Canyon. It is a very small plant that not many visitors know about, let alone would they see. However, this restoration project is very important in terms of bringing back this species and the balance of the ecosystem processes as they interrelate with the plants, animals, and physical environment.
The Division of Science and Resource Management at Grand Canyon has partnered with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Arboretum at Flagstaff, and our fundraising partner, the Grand Canyon Association, to implement these important recovery plan actions. The goal, obviously, is to preserve, protect, and facilitate the recovery of this endangered species. One dramatic step in the park's long-term commitment to recover Century milk vetch was to remove the entire parking lot at Maricopa Point. The area was restored with native plant species, and a section was set aside for Century milk vetch reintroduction. Reintroduction of Century milk vetch at Maricopa Point involved recreating the unique soil characteristics that will support the plant, planting companion species, and planting both Century milk vetch seeds and plants that were propagated by the park in an ex situ population. In 2009, the Park and Grand Canyon Association received U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service funding to construct a passive solar greenhouse. In 2010, the first Grand Canyon greenhouse plant started flowering in February. This is a major milestone, and we were really proud to get that word out there. To produce seed, we actually had people hand pollinating the flowers by squeezing them open with tweezers and collecting the pollen with a fine paintbrush. And then in July that year, the first 5 greenhouse grown century milkvetch plants were planted in the ground at Maricopa Point. And to date, all of these plants have survived. In the spring of 2011, we started seed trials in the field. The seeds were covered with a variety of native soil depths and protected with collars and landscape material to allow the sunlight and water in, but to protect them from wind and insect pests. In July, we had the first large planting. We put out 80 plants and 240 seeds in the ground at the site at Maricopa Point. Since the 1990 listing, 2 more populations of century milkvetch have been discovered and confirmed on the South Rim. At this point, we know we've got at least 2,500 plants that are living in the wild at Grand Canyon. In 2010, we found that we've got about 50% of our plants still alive and thriving in the ground. The seeds have also continued to survive. This year, we had 2 different flowering times, one in April and one in October. The first seedling progeny of the 2011 plantings were discovered this past year. We have at least 50 tiny seedlings that were produced by the plants that we planted in the field, which is a huge success for the long-term recovery of the species. With 2 solid populations currently established, what we need to do now is select 2 new sites with suitable habitat and use what we've learned from previous work to begin planting plants and seeds in the field. We also continue to keep the public engaged and informed through a variety of media, and we continue to involve volunteers with every part of our effort.
You know, it's really exciting to see the accomplishment that has occurred with over thousands and thousands of hours of work from our technical specialists, volunteers, and professionals here at Grand Canyon. And just to see this and to see the milestone that we have reached in the very first recovery of this plant species.
Park staff and many partners have made incredible gains to the protection and long-term recovery of century milkvetch, and we're all committed to keeping the momentum going. We want to see these populations stable and able to withstand the challenges of the future. By 2016, the year the National Park Service celebrates its 100th anniversary as an agency, we hope to highlight this project as a success, celebrating that we've learned enough to take a species from the brink of extinction to the path of survival.